Stand Up Talk. Now, another offering from the Stand Up Talk Radio Network.
Late night in Hollywood.
Late night in Hollywood. Late night in Hollywood.
From Los Angeles, California, you're listening to Late Night in Hollywood with Ari Mannis and Michael Lenoci.
Hello and welcome to a late night podcast in Hollywood. My name's Ari Mannis and I'm here with my sidekick slash co-host Michael Lenoci. Everybody.
Yeah, no, well, I'm not your sidekick.
And
that's not the name of the podcast.
You know, it's pretty much.
Well, you messed up the name. It's Late Night in Hollywood.
Late Night in Hollywood
with Michael Lenoci and Ari Mannis.
No, you. Here's why you're the sidekick. We're in my apartment recording it.
Well, I don't want people to ever know that I'm in your apartment.
And I'm the bigger comedian.
Do you want to start this over? Because I know we said we would joke. Nope. Well, you're not, one. And I don't want people knowing I'm in your apartment, even if it's for a podcast.
The Stand Up Talk studio.
That would be better. So from now on, when we start in the future after this podcast, we'll be like, all right, you're going to be like, hey, welcome to Late Night Hollywood with
Ari Mannis and my sidekick, Michael Lenoci. We're here in the Stand Up Talk studio.
Yeah, well, let me try it. Hi, welcome to Late Night Hollywood. Hey, guys, what's up? It's Michael Lenoci and Ari Mannis with Late Night Hollywood podcast.
I like
That's
that.
Great.
I like that.
Ooh,
But put my name before your name just because it's alphabetical. And, you know, like, we want to give the people what they want.
No, I think my name should always go first because it was my idea to do the podcast.
That's not true at all. You're
Actually,
lying over the air. That's
I'm not
against
lying.
the law.
Okay, well.
Against the radio law.
I've more experience. I'm less green. How about that?
You've been doing it longer, but that's just because you're an old man. You have gray hairs.
I have one or two gray hairs.
I have none, dude. None. Nowhere. Not even on my balls. They're all brown.
That's because you haven't had enough sex in your life. You know, the more sex you have, the older you look.
I mean, that's true, but that's because I'm a nice guy, and nice guys finish last.
Yeah. Well, guess what? I'm a nice guy.
You're not a nice guy.
How am I not a nice guy?
Oh my gosh.
When have I ever not been nice to anyone? Maybe I'm a little selfish, but I'm
selfish would maybe be one of the 4 words to describe you.
All right, describe me in 4 words.
All right. Selfish, egotistical, asshole, mean.
So
is asshole and mean the same thing?
Yeah, but what? You really look at me like that? Let me describe.
Not to me, but you know.
You think I come off as an egotistical asshole?
Okay, no. Let me take back asshole and mean, and replace it with douchebag.
Okay. All right. So now it's going to be welcome to Late Night Hollywood podcast with Ari Mannis and a douchebag. That's
not how you want me to introduce.
No, of course not. But I didn't. Yeah. All right. So now let me describe you in 4 words.
No, 4 words for me.
Virgin.
Not a virgin.
It doesn't matter. That's
okay.
if someone was like, hey,
that's
look
fair.
at this picture of him. You'd be like, virgin.
Fair enough.
So virgin's 1.
I'm at 7 females.
Well,
thank you.
That's fine. I thought it was 6. Either way, virgin, computer. Yeah,
computer. I like that one. That's true.
Virgin.
So far, you're fairly accurate.
Virgin, computer, Star Wars.
I like Star Wars. Okay,
yeah, I'm not
you're
surprised.
3 for 3.
I'm not surprised that computer and Star Wars and Virgin all work with you.
Yeah, that's. I'll accept. I'll accept those 3.
Sandals, because you're wearing fucking sandals right now.
That one wasn't even creative. Come on, I'll let you redo that one. What's the 4th one? Don't use sandals.
No, I want to come. No,
listen. I'll pretend like you never.
You
said
should
that
never wear sandals ever again in your life.
I know.
Even if you go to the beach.
I need a new tan. I need a new foot tan.
Who owns sandals? Raise your hand if you own sandals. Anyone?
Right here.
One
right
person.
Here.
I see it raising their hand.
I'm from California. Wait, you're from Florida. How do you not own sandals?
Because, buddy, we don't own sandals. Come on, man. You don't do sandals anymore.
Dude, I surf.
Listen,
I skate.
Man,
I wear sandals.
You want to know why I don't wear sandals? Because you don't use the words computer, Star Wars, and virgin to describe me.
Okay.
That's why.
I'm gonna give you the benefit of it out here and let you think of a real 4th one, because sandals just not good. I'll give you one more.
Okay.
Got one?
Yeah. School?
Oh my gosh. All right. Maybe next episode you'll think of a better fourth word. Maybe episode 2 will come out with a fourth
Whatever,
word.
man. I got 3.
You got
good
3.
enough.
Fair enough.
The 3 is all I need. If I was like, hey, what are those people that draw pictures of criminals? What are they called? The
Sketch artist.
Sketch artists, but isn't there another word for them?
Probably is.
Yeah,
I
I want to try to say it, but I don't want to embarrass myself too much on this thing.
Yeah.
So, but either way, if I was like, hey, I need you to draw this guy who I'm doing a podcast with, it's like, all right, describe him. All right,
Sandals.
computer, sandals, school, Star Wars, Virgin.
And then it would just be me.
It would just be, they would get you, definitely, you wearing basketball shorts with a sweater, a hoodie, with a stringless hoodie, basketball shorts and sandals.
It used to have strings. Just so you know.
I mean, if I was like, hey, what would a 3-year-old virgin look like? You're wearing the uniform. You're wearing the virgin, like the 23. Your team should be called the 23-year-old virgins.
We would lose every game.
Yeah.
Most of them. Not everyone. We could beat fatties.
That coming from a guy wearing a dinosaur on his shirt.
You are. Do you ever do the dinosaur bit with that shirt on?
I did the dinosaur bit tonight.
You did? You brought it back?
I don't. It's not bring it like.
I haven't heard you do it in a while. You did that in Irvine.
Yeah.
At the Irvine Improv, you did the dinosaur bit. How'd it do?
It was all right.
Dude, that bit needs to go.
Nope.
Everyone has a bit that needs to go, including myself. That's your bit that needs to be retired.
Well, I've been told from others to not retire that.
That's
ever.
because they're laughing at how ridiculous it is.
Am I having fun when I do it?
Fair enough. If you're having fun when you're doing it, then do it.
Exactly.
It's all about you up there.
It's just having a good time, man, because, all we have is our health and
That's right. That's why we're doing comedy. And that's why we're doing comedy and not some desk job, because we're doing it to live a good life and to have
Have you ever
fun.
had a desk job, Ari?
Oh, man. Yeah, I have. I used to.
For some reason, I feel like you'd be better at that than comedy.
That's hurtful. That's it's not nice.
Let me. Why are you in comedy, Ari? Why did you start comedy?
Why did I start comedy? Oh, man. Well, I've always loved to make people laugh.
How long have you been doing stand-up comedy?
Stand-up comedy, about a year.
Okay.
Maybe a little over a year. But what do you count? Do you count starting as when you hit it serious, or just the first time I did stand-up? If you count it from
this is a common question a lot of comedians have.
Right.
Well, I did it for the first time on this date, but then about 3-4 months later, I really started it.
Yeah, I'm gonna count when I really started it, and that's about a year.
When did you in your mind say, "Hey, I'm going to be a stand-up comedian forever"?
If for a living, when I've committed, a year. But if you count when I thought about doing stand-up, when I tried stand-up, then we could say 3 or 4 years.
Okay. So you started, and why? You said why? Because you've always liked making people laugh?
I've always loved making people laugh.
Can I stop you right there for a second?
Yeah.
Do you think there's anyone out there who just didn't like making people laugh, but he did? God damn it! Why am I making?
I loved it so much that I would always try to make people laugh because I liked the feeling.
Were you a class clown?
I was a class clown. Got kicked out of class a lot. Got in trouble a lot.
What would you do in class? Like speak out of turn, or like do physical stuff?
Not so much physical stuff. Yeah, I would just kind of say what everyone was thinking when you shouldn't say it. Maybe like this sucks, or like I don't know, just
this sucks. So that was one of the big punchlines in elementary school. This sucks.
No, my first big punchline was in 5th grade, telling a story about how pissed my dad was, and I said the word pissed, and everyone laughed at the word pissed.
Nice.
Yeah, and that was a big moment for me. Another one would be making my art teacher cry in 8th grade.
How'd you make her cry?
She would try and get me in trouble, and I'd be like, "You're in it." I don't remember exactly what I said, but I basically,
How young of a teacher do you have that an 8th grader, you made her cry?
I made her cry.
Was she a young teacher?
She was fairly young. I think she was like...
It was probably her first year out of college?
No, not that young. I think maybe late 20s.
Man, so sensitive that you beat her.
Oh, I beat her.
Man.
I definitely beat her.
You need to talk about this.
Yeah, I wish I could remember exactly what I said to her. But I think I basically essentially said you're a shitty teacher, something like that, and you're shitty at what you do.
Well, I would cry too if you told me I was a shitty teacher.
You're a shitty teacher.
Well, let's not go there.
So yeah, I've always just been, I guess,
so
a goofball.
who influenced you? What made you say I want to do stand up and not maybe just be a comedic actor?
I think in my head originally, maybe it was either or. Originally, my favorite people just to surround myself with were funny people. My dad's kind of funny. My friends in high school and people who I wanted to hang around were funny. That's who I liked being around. And probably I wasn't even the funniest. Every comedian knows that guy that's like, oh, if that guy did comedy, he'd be way funnier than me, or way really
I
funny.
have a friend back home that, God damn it, he should do comedy.
But at the same time, it's like if they did comedy, would they have the work ethic? There's so much more that goes into it. But yeah, those people who are just naturally so funny. And so I loved comedy, and then I got into stand-up during my loner years of high school. I moved back home with my family from military school. I didn't have very many friends, so I basically just stayed up tinkering around with the internet and my computer, making websites and watching stand-up comedy.
Who was your favorite stand-up comedian?
My original favorite, I think, one of my first favorites that I remember watching was Nick Swardson. I watched his Comedy Central Present special a bunch of times, got into him. I like Dimitri Martin, Stephen Lynch, Daniel Tosh, Louis C.K., Dane Cook. All pretty big names, mainstream guys.
Yeah.
But I would just listen to Harland Williams. I love Harland Williams.
Okay.
Listen to him. And I would listen to specials a lot, and just sometimes I would even watch kind of independent comedy films, and then I would steal the jokes from those films and say them to friends, fit them in a conversation.
Oh, okay.
So I've always been a thief.
You're an original joke thief.
I was like that. I remember doing that when I was younger.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you started, when did you first do stand-up? You started doing stand-up?
College.
College? You did an open mic?
I did, it was an open mic in college, and I did it with a friend. Both of us were on stage at the same time. We had a little skit between me and him. And that was the very first time. And then after that, I didn't have the courage to do it by myself. Took a couple years off, entered this TBS comedy competition at Santa Cruz. And I made it past the first round. And then after that, I was doing comedy once a month, once every 2 months. And then when I moved out to LA, I started doing it, every night, almost every night.
All right. And the rest is history, guys.
And now, I'm
here he is,
pretty big
guys.
deal. I got my own
television.
podcast. I got a sidekick on a podcast.
Well, again, nope. I am not a sidekick. I don't drive below you on a little motorcycle.
You don't drive.
Wearing
scooter.
Yeah, in World War II, one of most motorcycles, I'm not one of those kind of... No, not at all.
No, you use a scooter.
Well, if anything, I'm going to drive this podcast. A lot of the podcast listeners are going to be like, woof, thank God Michael is on the podcast.
I actually might agree with you there. I'm not...
Otherwise, they're going to be like, God, Ari's
I don't think
story
I
of
could
comedy.
I definitely don't think I could carry a podcast on my
own. Okay, so that was Ari's story.
So why, Michael, did you get into comedy? Let's hear. Can your story top mine? Because basically, when you listen to my story, you go, wow, he was born to do comedy. That's what people are going to think.
No, that didn't sound like yours at all.
They're like, wow, he's meant to do it. He was just
people
gifted.
Are going to listen to your story and be like, is Michael doing a podcast by himself with a recorded robot? It just sounds like a robot talking. Hi, guys.
I don't sound like a robot, dude.
Kind of. Hi, guys. I don't sound like a robot.
I do not.
Even robots laugh. They
like
go,
a robot. Haha. Okay.
Where's Fahim? We need him to do the
he
robot.
Is a good robot.
I always wanted to do stand up.
From what age?
I can remember.
Stand up specifically.
Yeah, well, here's what I mean.
Or just comedy.
I remember I had to go to the principal's office in kindergarten. I was a bad kid. I was always distracting people. Just being a goofball. I loved showing off. I was rambunctious. I had to be the center of attention.
Did you flash your penis a lot?
Probably, yeah. I would say so. I
like
grabbed
that.
penises. I did everything.
Yeah.
I didn't keep my hands
You
to myself.
still do that. You still grab people's penises.
Yeah, not sexually, just because it's funny.
Well, no, kind of sexually.
Whatever. Who cares? I like women though still. But the thing is, I always got in. I had to be the center of attention. If someone else, I think I remember being in school. If someone else like made a joke and you laughed at them, I'd be like, oh. Really? You think you're the funny guy?
Funny, huh?
You think he's funny? Let me show you who's really funny. But I actually most of my best friends were the funny kids in class.
Yeah.
Like we'd come together and we would be like, oh, you're funny too, me too. All right, let's laugh together.
But you were also the asshole that teased kids?
No, never. I wasn't a teaser.
Okay.
If I teased it, it was like I would only tease my friends, but I was never.
Right.
I actually I hated kids. Like I got picked on a little here and there.
Yeah,
I got picked on by a lot of older kids in my neighborhood, which maybe that's where. But my dad was a goofball, so maybe that's where comedy came from too. But I was always the class clown. Was always the funniest kid in my class.
Yeah.
Gets more competitive in middle school. I didn't win class clown ever, middle school or high school.
Yeah.
I think it was a runner-up in middle school.
Yeah, I was runner-up in high school.
We had all of our best friends were funny, so the votes got split. And this other guy who you're like, I remember when they called his name in middle school for the class clown, everyone was like, really? Oh, okay, yeah, give it to him. He's funny too.
Yeah.
But everyone was like a little thrown off because he was probably like the 5th funniest, but he was black, so he got all those
that
votes.
Card, yeah.
The 3 of us all hung out with the same people, so the votes got split. So Carl Walsh, where are you, Carl? You were he was funny.
Maybe he's
man.
doing comedy now.
Well, I don't think so, but
Probably
he was
not.
funny, man. He was funny, and the other 2 runner-ups were Lloyd Berkowitz.
That's crazy. You remember all this.
I'm still friends with Lloyd Berkowitz and Ryan Hurley.
Okay.
Those were the other 2 runner-up funny people with me in middle school, and then Carl Walsh won it. And high school, I forgot the kid's name. Those other 2 kids I know him better, but he probably deserved it. He did some weird, funny shit, but he's probably working in Wall Street or something. So, anyways, the comedy thing started. I don't remember. A big SNL fan, would watch SNL a lot. Watched a lot of Saturday Night Live.
Who are your favorites on there?
I don't remember who my favorites were. I just know we would watch it. Me, my sister, and my dad would watch it, because we didn't go out yet. But I remember eventually, once I got to high school, I was going out, so I didn't watch SNL anymore. But in middle school, you didn't go on the weekends yet. So Saturday nights at 10:30, I was home watching it with my dad. So SNL was big. The biggest memory of SNL for me, and I don't know if this makes sense because I feel like this was before Will Ferrell, but Will Ferrell was one of the bigger. He would do the cheerleading skit.
Yeah.
Like that was so funny. I remember obviously Farley. I do remember Farley, so I think that's where it really started. But that was going on. But stand-up wise, I mean, I must have seen George Carlin a lot, but I can't recall. I can't even pick a joke. I don't know what. The one special I do remember watching Ellen DeGeneres.
And liking it.
Oh yeah, I was like, this is so
I never
funny.
saw that.
And there was she had this famous popcorn eating bit about eating popcorn, how no one could eat popcorn one piece at a time. You're always like shoving it in your. So funny. She was one I remember. And then we were watching some other stand-up thing, and I remember asking my dad, I was like, I loved it. Because my first goal was like, I want to be on SNL. I want to be on SNL. When I get to high school, I'm going into drama. I don't care. I want to be an actor. We looked at New York act. Like I wanted to be an actor. That was it. I wanted to be an actor because I want to be on SNL. Then we were watching stand up too, and we were in middle school or something. And I remember, Half Baked. This is in middle school.
Yeah.
This was one of my biggest influence. Jim Brewer, one of my biggest influence. This is where, after watching Half Baked, that's what got me smoke pot. Smoked pot in 7th grade. I saw the movie. I was like, is that really how it feels? Let's smoke weed. I want to feel like I'm flying. So we used to smoke dead grass and paper. That's how I wanted
That's
to smoke
how much
pot.
you loved Half Baked.
That's how much we loved Half Baked. We'd smoke dead grass. We'd roll it up in paper and we'd smoke it and be like, oh yeah, we're high. I wanted to get high so bad. I remember trying it. It was at a fair one time. I got high. It was Half Baked is what got me. I have so many stories that I keep sidetracking.
Yeah.
Half Baked is what got me. It was Jim Brewer. I used to go around middle school doing Jim Brewer impressions from Half Baked. I don't know if I could do it again, but I'd be like I would just do the high guy from Half Baked. I gotta watch it again, but I would do him so good. Everyone would always in the hallway stop and be, "Oh, I heard you do what's his name from Half Baked, Jim Brewer," and I would do it, and it was so funny. And I remember from Goat Boy from SNL, so he was one of my biggest comedic influences. But I remember the conversation I had with my dad. We're watching stand up, and I was like, "How do they do? Like, he's just going up there and just talking." And my dad explained it. He's like, "No, it's a routine. They write it down, they practice it, it was explained." I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And then by high school, remember, I was like, "Oh, I want to do that one day." It was in the back of my head, but I didn't know if it was realistic.
Right.
Well, I want to be an actor too.
Yeah.
But then, like in high school, you kind of like they divert you. Like, all right, let's be realistic.
Yeah, exactly.
You live in Florida. What are you gonna be? You know.
Yeah.
But I still was in drama in high school and stuff. And then we'd be hanging out at my friend's house for parties. And I remember this one night we were at my friend's house, maybe junior year. They were all sitting on the couch. Maybe we were drunk. Maybe we got high or something. And I'm standing up, and I don't know what I said that night, but that would probably be my first stand up. Everyone was sitting down. And I don't know what I was doing. I was improvising.
And you were drunk.
But I don't know if I was drunk. I might have been like a little high. But I was killing it. Everyone's just belly laughing. Maybe I was riffing on like I don't know what exactly I was doing. I don't know if I did jokes. Probably not jokes. Being a goofball, because I didn't really write. The only thing in high school I wrote is I had this thing and I'd write ideas. Like I remember one of my first ideas was like, oh, I would get a boner before the bell rang, so I'd have to look through my book bag while I was walking down the hall. It's like, oh shit, where did I put that piece of paper? Until the boner went away. So that was like one of my first like jokes I remember thinking of, like just stupid shit, like, oh, seeing people, like, oh, hey, I see you in between classes starting this time, and when I don't see you, that means you're not at school. Like those were the first ideas I thought. And I remember telling one of my sister's friends Christmas, she was like, he was like, oh, what do you want to? I was like, I want to do stand up. And he's like, tell me something funny right now. And I couldn't.
Yeah.
And he was like, if you can't do that, you'll never be a stand-up comic, because they're quick enough to be able to come up with something funny right there on the spot.
Do you agree with that?
No, not anymore. Because if you went up to comics that'd be funny right now,
exactly,
you'd be like, no, bro, leave me alone. But yes, any comic can be a funny, like, can tell, like, oh, you want to hear a joke? Fine, here's a fucking joke.
Yeah.
But it was just the way he said that, and I was like, oh, you're right. And then I remember I went to college, and then totally forgot about acting and all that. I was just like college, into partying and having a good time.
Yeah.
Didn't even think about my career. And was just got diverted from it. Was just into partying and girls, but we loved. And then that's when Dane came into the picture in college. Dane Cat Williams.
Yeah, that was
Dane Cat Williams. I don't think I was familiar with Tosh. Obviously,
what year did you graduate college?
08. I was
okay.
supposed to 07. I stayed for 5 years, guys. But I remember Dane was a big influence later on in my life. But like that's when I was like, oh, I'd love to do it. And like we would say funny shit, but then. Fast forward, long story short, I'd work a year after college, and this is where it really started. We were in a cubicle. One of my best friends, I got him the job. We were inside pharmaceutical sales. We're all sitting there, and I would always have these ideas, and I had ideas I had written in college, and my buddy was pushing me. He was like, yo, we would be on lunch, and I would just make people laugh. He's like, yo, you should say this all the time. And I would stand up in front of the cubicle, and it was a small. There would be like a dozen, maybe 15 people
that you knew, and you knew all.
Yeah, well, we all knew each other. We were all pretty close at the computer. I would stop the computer, I'd turn around, and we had a headset just like this. And I would say, I'd go, yo, what do you guys think about this? And I would just stand up and tell them, yo, wouldn't that be? And I would I don't know what I was doing. Yeah, and I didn't know what a bit was. I didn't even know anything about stand-up. I just was telling them, and I wish I could record, because that's what you have to be. Yeah. Like whatever I was doing in those cubicles, if I could do that, that's dope. Like that's what you need to be. That's how I have to be. It's you. And I remember I'd stand up and I'd be like, and I would be like this, just how I am right now. And I'd be telling them, and they would laugh and shit like that. And he would always be, yo, you got to do stand. You got to do it. And more I was thinking about more, because I wasn't happy. Yeah. I was waking up, going to work. I was like, this is bullshit. I have to do this for the rest of my life. Yeah. And I wasn't happy about it. And then I got fired from that job from being too much of a distraction. So I got fired from that job, got another job, got fired a week later after that new job in Atlanta for being too big of a distraction on the training thing. I got fired from that job. And then I had this other job selling insurance, and would do kind of riff jokes off them. And then I remember, I think I was like just at home one day, and I was just like, I'm doing it. I'm just going to quit the job, pack everything, and just drive straight to LA and do stand-up.
Like, did you know anyone out here?
I had 2 friends from college out here, and they both have real jobs. Like 3 or 4 friends out here. Then they all had real jobs, and I hit them up. I was like, yo, I want to move out there. You want to get a place? And he's like, yeah, I'll get a place. He's like, yeah, do it. It's going to be so much fun. And I told my mom and dad, and my dad was just like, whoa. And I was just like, yo, Mom, I'm going to move home, save money for 3 months. I'm going to move to LA. I'm going to do stand-up comedy. I was like, and I think my mom was easier with it because I had a better relationship with her. But growing up, we used to watch the Academy Awards. I'd be like, yeah, one day I'm gonna win an Oscar. I used to be into that. I'm like, oh, this is what's gonna happen. I'm gonna do all that. Like, it was. When I look back on it now, I'm like, yo, I was meant to come out. Like, just, it was like I had to do it. And I just packed my bags, drove out here, and I got here April, like, 14th, that weekend I got here. And then I met with my friend, and I signed up for an improv class.
Which improv school?
UCB 101. So, because I didn't really know what to do. I didn't know how to write a joke. I didn't know how to go on stage.
Yeah.
I just knew I was going to do stand-up comedy. So then I'm doing this improv because my sister's friend lived out here. So I'm doing the improv. And I did it. I was like, yeah, this is fun. Improv ended May, June, July. And I think I did my first open mic in between. I tried it one time.
Where was your first one?
At IO West.
Oh, IO West. You did your own
IO West.
And you did stand-up.
Jade Cat of Predator was hosting it. And I remember I did something. And the next comic that followed me was Jamar Neighbors. And he riffed off something I said, like kind of like goofing me. And I remember getting so mad and wanting to come back the next night and just riff on him, being so offended by it. But I remember
so funny.
Those two were there. There's like 4 comics I remember that were there and that are still doing comedy.
Yeah.
Those two are the other two. The other two are like those guys that are like, why are they still around? But like, yeah, those were 2. And I remember that iOS so terrified I did a minute and a half. Because it was a 3-minute mic. I just got up. And I remember the first joke I did, too.
Let's hear it.
I was, I said, I think Ben Roethlisberger was getting in trouble for his things. I think I told you about it. I was like, oh, hey, what are you, I go, he's getting in trouble for sexually assaulting these women. I was like, how do you even sexually assault a girl? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what, you assaulting her with your dick? Like, is that sexual? Like, I know if you assault someone, it's with your fist, but sexually assault, what is he, beating her with his dick? Like, can you imagine if Shaq beat someone with it? That would cause a concussion.
How to do?
It was all right. Like, a couple, who knows, a couple giggles. I was just so nervous, and I have it, I think, recorded on an iPad.
Do you think if your first set you bombed hard, do you think you would have been like, okay, fuck stand-up?
No, I was in it from the get-go right away. So that was the first mic, and then I didn't do it again. I did one other mic a week later, and then didn't do it. Did the improv class and was working, and then I took a stand-up class. I was like, well, how do I write?
Oh, really? I took what class? What stand-up class?
Her name was Leslie Wolf.
I've heard of that.
Yeah,
and then
still has
showcases at the improv, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was my first real time. Like, so we did it. So I had done 2 previous open mics, I think, back to back, and then didn't do stand-up ever again.
Yeah.
Did the improv class,
and then did a stand-up class.
So
did that class help you?
It helped me do a show, which gave me the excitement to keep going. So then I did the show September 28th, 2010. And that's when my comedy career began.
But it didn't help you as far as like writing or structure?
Yeah, she did. When I look back on it now, I'm like, it's a great, she points to that. She's like, write about your work, write about your life. Like, she's telling you to write.
Right.
And
Real
she would, I'm not dogging it. Like, listen, people be like, oh, do you need a class? I don't think you need a class.
Yeah.
I think the best way to do it is
doing it.
Just get up on open mic. But I was just like, well, I don't know. What do you mean? Just go up and talk.
Yeah.
To me, I had to have something structured first.
Right.
I wanted something structured. And then that gave me the ability when I did do that. Then I went around the open mics doing that set. And then from there, I learned. So it's like, oh, here, let's put training wheels on you first.
Yeah.
So maybe it helps people in that aspect. But I don't think you need it. I don't think you need a class at all.
Yeah.
And I think it's some classes, I think, are people trying to take advantage of people. But it was great for me because of that group, I'm the only one who still does stand. I think I was the only one a month later who was still doing stand.
Yeah.
But I knew I was going to. I think because I remember being the most passionate one in class and being like this and being and like helping other people with their jokes just there, like kind of, she gave us like, talk about yourself. Her point of view, she was right with what she was saying.
Right.
But not,
and I think
not
most of
for
them
first
are.
comment. Like, she would be right for later. Like, if you've been in comment, like, yeah, you should talk about you. Like, the things she was saying, she was right. But we did the showcase. I was the funniest. Nick Swartzen came in and headlined it.
Really? That's cool.
I remember people being, oh, so you opened for Nick Swartzen? Oh, that's cool. I'm like, yeah, I guess so. Sure, I did.
Yeah.
Funny
Every Bringer show has a
and I'm like, you think
sort.
that. And then 2.5 years later, I did actually open for him. So whatever.
That's pretty cool. How'd that happen?
I asked him.
You said, hey, can I open for you?
He would come into the parlor where I work, and I met him through a mutual friend there.
Yeah.
And I would always just say hi, and I would keep in touch, and like, I would serve him drinks too sometimes.
Yeah.
Great tipper, and he would always and just say hi. And I think he knew I did comedy. Then one time, I think I started hosting this like trivia night at the parlor, and I would come up and I would riff in the room, and he would always come every week and drink with his buddies, and they would hang out. And he always see, and I would get like, yo, I remember he had his Comedy Central show at the time.
Yeah.
I remember one time I pitched an idea like, oh, a ticklish UFC fighter, which I would do a joke about sometimes.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, that's pretty funny. Like, he knew I was a young comic doing it. And then after I had got previous road gigs through other guys, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Then I was like, I learned about the system. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, I can do this now for more people. And I saw the open, because I was like, hey, I have a relationship. I built a rapport with this guy. I know him. I know he has dates coming up. I go, what is he going to say? No? Cool.
Yeah.
So I went out. I was like, yo, I know you have an Irvine show. I would love to have the opportunity to MC for you. And he was like, oh, I was like, listen, I've done it for Bobby before. And I don't know if I had done it for Chris at the time yet. But he was like, yo, yeah, that's cool. What do you do? He's like, what do? You have time? I was like, yeah, I could do 10. That's fine. He's like, and he kind of was like, he's like, usually I have this guy. He's like, yeah, why not, man? You're a good guy. Da, da, da. And I was like, oh, thanks so much, man. It meant the world.
Yeah.
And went and I did his show, and his show was by far the best crowd
Ever.
Young, cool, like,
It's
broy type
of
of people. It was
Dear
great,
people.
and it was just that, and now it's just like, I thank him again, and I don't think I would ever ask again.
Yeah.
I think that was just cool for the first front door, just to have the experience.
Yeah.
And good set, but he knows now,
cool.
and now we see each other all the time. We say hi, and that relationship's there, and I don't need to ask.
Right.
He knows I want it, and
Right, of course.
and if he wants to, he knows. You know what I mean? Once you've already had that relationship built,
Right.
they know you want to.
Of course.
So let them ask now. Now it's
Right.
like I don't need to.
Right.
But that's how I'm in it, and I think my mom was more like cooler with it. But
Are they cool with it now? Your parents?
My dad wasn't. My mom was always like, oh yeah, whatever you do, because there's no way of showing, hey, I'm doing good, I'm getting
Right.
better, things are like you. Oh, mom, hey, I'm doing this, I'm on this show. That doesn't mean anything.
Right.
Doesn't mean
They
you're
don't
getting
get
better. My sister saw me 3 months in. A lot of my friends did. I did 3 months in. I did good. But what
Yeah.
it was good in South Florida.
Right.
I went back 6 months in and did another show, and I bombed in front of everyone.
Yeah.
My uncle was there, not my parents. They wouldn't come watch me. They couldn't. My sisters,
They
like,
couldn't, like, they didn't
no, they
want
wouldn't.
to?
They're like, no, we don't want to watch. It's just weird for them.
Weird.
So then like I did another time, and my sister saw me do good, and then all of my friends would be like, yo, we see they don't. No one really gets comedy unless you're in it.
Right, of course.
You know what I mean? They think you just get on stage and you're good.
Yeah.
And you're always good, but they don't see you have to grow. And I think that was cool, was going back. I would go back every 6 months, and I still do. And every single time they're like, yo, it's real cool. Like this last time, I went back in April.
Yeah.
But they're all like, it's crazy how you watch everything. It's just unreal. Like you don't, they get to actually see the growth. People are always like, oh, you don't want your people to see you until you're really good. Not really. I think it's so cool because they're all your friends and they're always going to be supporting it. It's not like they live in LA.
Yeah.
It's only like once every 6 months. So that's cool to see the growth and like, wow. So this really does, you see someone's hard work.
Yeah.
You see, oh, like this guy's been getting up multiple nights every night for 6 months each time, and you see the growth, and that's so cool probably to see. You don't see as much. I only see it when you go back to videos. But the first time my dad got him. My dad when I was there with Bobby and Fahim in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, he came out.
Everyone came that one because it was at the Improv, sold out show. All my friends, they have all seen me. Some of them saw the same jokes, but it was my mom. I was like, just come. I go, Mom. At that point, I had done a lot of road gigs with like Chris and then previous with Bobby, and Nick had already happened. So I was like, yo, I'm confident. I know I'm going to do fine.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, just come. I was like, nothing. I'm not going to do bad.
Yeah.
But like, even if I do bad, it's not a big, it's just like, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Like, trust me, it will be fine. And they convinced him. I think my mom was cooler about it. A lot of her friends. My dad was, I remember he was sitting up close. He had a drink. And right before the show started, because I was the MC, he moved back towards the wall. And I think everyone from what I was hearing, he was so nervous. I think he was more nervous. He was just so nervous. He just wasn't. He was just like, why don't you just get a real job with your brother-in-law, work for his company? My mom was like, whatever, as long as you're happy and you could support yourself, whatever.
Yeah.
He was just so nervous, and I know it was back in April, and I'm probably improved dramatically since. Maybe I haven't. I've improved since then. But that set that night with my adrenaline going, I think I did like 15, 17. I don't even know. I riffed a little, but
You did 15, 17 minutes?
Yeah, like Bobby lets you kind of go a little bit. That's what's cool about with Bobby. He lets you do time. Yeah, yeah. You know what I mean? That was like, I mean, even I remember Fahim was like, I think that's the first time Fahim would ever see me do like big crowd too. Like he would only see me do smaller shows, and even he was like, "Oh, that was good." Like, that was the best one. It was I had them come on Saturday night, second show. Yeah. It was great. It was so fun. It was a lot. It was so fun. So then afterwards, we're all taking pictures. They get to meet Bobby. It's probably surreal for them as it is for, because Bobby, he's kind of famous. Yeah. Sorry if he ever hears this. He's really famous. But like it was fun when they took pictures. We had a great time, and then he still was like whatever, hi. And then I get back to California, and I get a call the next day. He's like, "Hey, so I'm on board, man. I'm on board." Just like that. It's like kind of like a, because I always knew he wasn't like, because like the conversations before would always be, "Oh, so how's how's your thing going?" Now it's just like, "Oh, so what's going on?" And then a couple weeks after that, he called me. He's like, "Yo, like that banana thing you do." He's like, because that one older people would like. Yeah. But he would be like, "I was thinking about this," and he's trying to pitch me a joke on the phone. I'm like, and then instead of being like a typical young, Dad, that's when I kind of matured. I was like, "Oh yeah, that's funny. Oh yeah, that's great." And just took it in. Yeah. I'm not going to say, "Oh no, that's," "Oh yeah, that is. Yeah, I'll check that out." And that's what you do, man. Yeah, exactly. Because just him doing that's what, him, it was closure for me. There's not, the most closure I wanted was just an acceptance from he was always going to be proud of me and things like graduate college, whatever. But that to me is like, I have nothing to prove to anyone but myself now. Right. Whatever. They've seen me be successful a little bit. Mm-hmm. Maybe I don't have money, but like, hey man,
they saw you opening up a big show.
I got myself to this point. You know what I mean? And a little like, look, like I'm doing and I'm working at something and I'm passionate about it and I want it. Like, look, I'm not out there doing drugs. I'm not fucking around. Like, this is what I really want, and I'm happy and whatever. We're having fun, so let's just go for the ride. So and then that was cool. And it's like, hey man, I don't know where I'll be a year from now. I don't know where I'll be 5 years from now. But, I'm having as much fun as I can. And I don't know if I'll be the best. I don't know if I'll be the most talented. But at the end of the day, it's just like, it's surreal to think like, hey, I'm doing something.
Comedy.
Yeah.
Crowds.
And it's like, hey, maybe I could be 35 with debt still. I don't know. But you know what? I'm fucking sitting here right now talking about it, and it gets me pumped. It's fun.
Living the dream at 4 a.m. Yeah. Right now we're recording at 4:06 a.m. Yeah. That's pretty crazy.
Listening to a neighbor of the stand-up talk studios play on a keyboard.
Playing on a keyboard at 4 a.m. So he's living his dream.
Sure, or he's coked out of his mind.
Yeah, or
writing
both.
Beautiful music right. that we don't know about yet, but that we're going to hear about 10 years from now and be like, "Yo, do you know who used to live next to us?" Beethoven Well, guys, I'm retarded.
We wouldn't get it if we had a normal job. We couldn't be up at 4 a.m.
I was thinking about the other day. I was like, God, I'll never I'd just be a distract. Like I've almost got fired from the parlor. I work at the parlor.
What'd you almost get fired for?
17 times since I've worked there in 3 years. Just because I'm an idiot, dude.
Just like missing shifts or what?
No, never missing. I always show up. It's just being an idiot at work, man.
What does that mean?
Sexual harassment, doing inappropriate.
Those girls are so hot, though.
I know. No, not from that. I'm just kidding. Just being like, talking back to managers, fooling around too much, playing jokes. Like, I don't know, man. I just can't do anything else besides, hopefully this is, all of it. Just being creative. It's fun.
Yeah. Well, you haven't been fired yet.
I almost got in trouble recently. I drew pictures on the dry erase board of all the guys, but everyone had a penis too, different sizes.
And you got in trouble for that?
But it was only where employees could see it on the dry erase board.
Yeah, who cares?
Just draw it. I don't know. She was just like, come on, all it takes is one person to get offended from it. I was like, yeah, you're right. But there was some funny I took pictures of them. It was like, that's what, like, who does that? Who a 29-year-old draws cartoon figures of everyone they work with little penises and different sized nipples and stuff.
That's funny, but it's so dumb that it's 2013 and you could get fired for that shit. It's like, who cares? It's a fucking doodle that employees see. They're all young employees there too. It's not like, I don't know.
They're all sluts. No, I'm just kidding.
Are they? Oh, I wish they were. They're so fucking hot.
No.
I would quit comedy and work at any of their dad's McDonald's for them.
What does that mean?
It's just like,
you would quit comedy and work at McDonald's for them?
Yeah, I would just like manage McDonald's and take care of them,
Come on, man.
She's so hot.
You don't want to quit comedy for anything.
Yeah, but dude,
that's the only reason I feel like I'm scared.
Dude,
I can't let anything get in the way.
But dude, that girl or those girls at the parlor.
Listen, if you just focus and work hard and keep doing comedy,
luckily,
you'll get one of those girls at the parlor. How about that?
Luckily, they're out of my league anyway, so it's not like.
Listen, if you change your RE uniform and get some shoes,
well, that's not. Oh, I wear shoes sometimes.
You'll be all right, guys.
It's the first episode, so we went over length this episode, and we're gonna have really great guests in the later episodes. But I hope you got to know us a little bit. And so yeah, I guess I've been Ari Mannis, and my sidekick here,
and majority co-host and the person that will carry the podcast, Michael Lenoci. I've been Michael Lenoci with Ari Mannis on Late Night Hollywood podcast.
Late Night Hollywood. Have a good night, everybody.
Have a good night, everyone. Bye-bye.